heads. F, stop there, go backwards. I can see him, he can't see us. Back a bit more. Yeah, now you need to head basically, if you look to your western side, straight into the sun, you'll see me. And you need to make your way basically straight towards me if you can, and you'll get a view from the other side of the drainage. Yeah, I'm waving at you. Okay, yeah, just come straight towards the sun. Go a little bit backwards and come down. If you follow my tracks, you'll get in there. Not easy, much easier when you don't have 6 people on the back of your car. There, you can see us. He's got about 12 people on the back of his car. There they are. And he's right next to me here on my left hand side. So just keep coming forward, and if Alright, while I get Ephraim into this position, everybody, let's go across to Steph and see what he's got.
What an absolute treat those cubs are giving you. I'm just listening to Kirsty giving me some updates about them suckling and now waiting for them to play in the sun. Very jealous. We have got the moon. Or no, as close to it as what you can get. It's just nothing. Devoid of all life. We've decided to walk at pace across it, but it's only because I want to go and see the old den site of the hyenas. Now, when I started here, which was in March, April last year, the hyena site that is right here was active. And since then, it hasn't known another hyena that we know of. But we don't really come here until we know there are hyenas. Obviously, the hyena den off of Mvula Road and the one off of Aubrey's, I think, is active. And we're seeing a lot of good hyena activity there. But very often, these satellite dens in a hyena clan's area are used by female hyena that are not as high up the social ladder. So hyena dens all over the clan's territory will get used, but they'll be used by subordinate females. Let's go and have a look. I don't know what's there. No tracks here. It's just literally you caught us wandering through the bush, and it's a point of interest, and it's a good place to go and have a look. So we're going to carry on wandering through here. The hyena den, I think, is that termitarium that you're seeing through the bush right there. That is where I think it is. I'm going to have to cross here. Not too far away, a couple of 100 yards. Now what I am doing is I'm keeping my eye open for anything scurrying away. Hyena definitely do not protect dens. They're not like leopard or lion, which will stand their ground at a den site. They will very often just scatter. And the reason for that is because hyenas are diggers. And it's a much safer thing for a baby hyena, to actually scurry away into the den, and they do little sub-tunnels that they can climb into that not even adult hyena can climb into. Much safer. Mother leaves in a flash that panics the babies. Babies go into the hole, into their little caves and into their excavations, and not even leopard can pull them out from these particular places. So what I'm looking for here is that scurrying, that mass exodus of hyena. But because this isn't an active den, it'll probably just be one, if we're lucky. Let's go down here and go and see. It's been such a wonderful afternoon of exploring. Alright, but I think, give us some time to get to this particular termite mound while we do it, to see if there's anything there. Those lion cubs have gotten mobile again, so you're off to James.
We're live. Hello everybody, I'm sorry I'm not getting your communications at all from Sister K. They're in the final control. Lucky I didn't make any swearing noises, because I nearly did to get in here. There we go, she's back. We've just moved forward and we've got a lovely view of the little one there. And one or two to the left of that starting to play. This really is the furthest we're going to be able to get in here. Now I'm going to sit here for as long as we can, but I think that Aubrey's trying to get in here. And I don't know if he's going to be able to get there. Isn't that sweet? Look. I've just got to help again other people to get in here. Just enjoy this wonderful sight, everybody, with a tiny animal. Oh, look. I did relocate. Ephraim is one side of the drainage. I'm the southern side of the drainage, western side, sorry. I don't think there's access for a Land Cruiser in here. I managed to get this little Land Rover in, but I'm not sure that there's access for a cruiser. Aubrey's going to try. I will move out as soon as he gets in here from Goripad. Look at it. It's so sweet. I took a picture, David. I've no doubt you'll think it's horrible. They are too sweet, everybody. We are so lucky. So lucky to be here. Isn't that sweet? I can't believe it. I just think lion cubs are my best. Okay, I'm just going to help Aubrey to get in here. Just enjoy, everybody. We're not going to be able to stay here for long because once Aubrey's in here, I don't think that we're going to be able to stay. Look at just sleeping there on Mum after our heavy suckle, and will most likely start to play just as the sun goes down. Now we won't view them after the sun goes down. In fact, I'm afraid, like I say, we're going to move fairly soon from here. Then we'll move on to our second cubs of the day, the hyena cubs. And, well, we might be lucky with Karula, but by then it'll probably be dark. Marcel, you say are the cubs' eyes blue when they first open? Yes, they are. I think they change very quickly. I can never remember exactly how long it takes for them to change, but they do change. You see how that cub's nose is plain black. Maybe they go pink, but I would have thought they were born pink. I'm just going to help Aubrey a little bit here. Now, to get a vehicle in here is just a nightmare, especially if it's a huge one. Poor Aubrey can't get that big cruiser through here. Now, Jesse, a nice question for you. Now, we've obviously been watching for a while, and you know that George and Charlotte, we separate from each other by their spot patterns. Now, they've got different coloured eyes, and you want to know how do we tell the difference between these three lion cubs. It'll be very, very difficult. You can count the whiskers underneath the nose, but that's just, you can't do it quickly. So if you've got a photograph, you can do it, but it's almost impossible unless they're lying still, like this one you could do it. The others you couldn't. So, one identifier there, very black nose, that cub. Whether the others have the same nose colour, I don't know. That will change as they get older, but for now it might be quite a good way to identify them. Oh, yes. Very tired. And I'm very glad I'm not in the final control right now. Apparently there is great squealing. I'm not sure why it is that there is great squealing whenever there's something cute. But this is lion cubs for me. Too much cuteness. That's not to say I prefer them to George and Charlotte, who are my best friends at the moment. So tired. Debbie in Vancouver, a very nice question from you. Do I think that more social cubs are perhaps slightly more curious than the solitary ones like the leopards? So, for example, would they come and approach the vehicle more than, say, leopards would? I think the answer, Debbie, is yes. But I don't think it's because they're more curious. I think it's because they're more confident. Remember that as social animals, they can afford to take far greater risks than the solitary animals. And so those leopards, which are almost exclusively solitary, well, not from birth, but as soon as they go independent, they just are not able to take risks, and so they don't take risks. And I think that just means that they are far less likely to become confident enough to come and look at vehicles. Risk averse is a leopard, unlike a lion, which tends to be not very risk averse. Aubrey, I can actually see you. Well, I can see the bushes moving. Yeah, just keep coming straight there. Keep coming in that direction. Poor old Aubrey's guest. They must be absolutely terrified. It's not Aubrey's fault. They'll be well rewarded when they get in here. I wonder if we'll ever get out. Look, suckling again. There we are. And that might sound like a herd of elephants, but it isn't. It's you know what's so difficult about getting in here, everyone, is the trees that the elephants have left all over the ground. What a wonderful sighting. Sometimes all is right with the world. Look into those ears, very clean ears there, David. You see that? Do you think this mum's got a supply of Q-tips? I think probably. You would imagine so. I mean, any good mother would. They are the best. They are the absolute best. And I'm sure many of you are taking very beautiful screenshots, and thanks for doing that. That's good news. It's always nice to have those as a record, and I love scrolling through them. I always scroll through them after a drive and check out what we actually saw as a reminder, because my own photographs are so blurred I'm unable to tell what we saw. There comes another one now. Let's go to the left slightly there, Dave. There we go. There we go. James Duncan, they'll lose their spots in about 3 months' time. You say, how long why do they lose them? Well, just like I was saying earlier, they don't need them anymore. Remember, when they become big, their greatest defense is their incredible size. And when they're little, their greatest threat is being discovered when their mother is away. And so that's why they're coloured like leopards to start with. I failed to get one decent photograph. Soon. Now here comes Aubrey. I'm going to wait for him to stop and then we will move out. So just take your last screenshots and enjoy. Look at that. Now you can see they relax. You can see they've been around vehicles quite a lot. And they're just starting. Oh, I think there's a male there. I think I saw a male. So I'm going to go with one male and one female here. The noses all seem to be pretty black, you know. There's one. Yeah, they're all not quite pink yet. All the eyes are the same colour. There is a bit of movement now. I think we might actually be able to stay a little bit longer. In fact, I think we should move now. Ah, yeah, Minjan. Hey. Alright, Alright, everybody, take one last look at that fantastic cub, and we'll come back here, hopefully, to see her tomorrow. Just find out from Kirsten if she's able to go to Steph, because our departure from here is not going to be pleasant. I think I've lost her again, Dave. Oh no, she's still there. So just give us 1 second. We'll set Steph up. Oh, that's wonderful. I might have to try and take one more picture. Don't go anywhere, cubby. I think I got a shot, David. Oh, thank you. Okay. We're just waiting for the bushwalk pack to come back. It's been away, apparently. Or the signal's gone down or something. And then we're going to press on out of here. What an astounding joy this has been. Alrighty, let's go across to Steph, say bye-bye to the cubbies, Louise, Jerry and Kirsten. Of course, if there is a male, it can be Jerry, I suppose. Let's go across to Steph and we'll see you shortly.
I don't quite know what James is getting at with one of these cubs. If it's a male, it can be Jerry, but I'm sure there's some other type of sick humour going on over there. You caught us having a look at an antlion colony. Now, antlions are exactly that. They prey on ants by ambushing them with a pitfall trap. The ant comes along and scrabbles up the side of these pitfall traps, and then antlion, if he's in residence, flicks sand up. Now, of course, because it worked once with me last week, I naturally expect it to work every other time. Let's see if it's going to work with this. Let's see if it'll work with this one. No, I must be honest with you. These things have fascinated me since I was a young boy. And my son, who's only 4, just turned 4, since he was 2 years old and knew about an antlion, they have fascinated him as much as what they've fascinated me. He's even quite adept at catching them, I must be honest. But nothing in residence here. And that's probably because the ants in this particular area have moved away. Now, these antlions do follow ant colonies. They don't follow one colony, but when an ant colony moves away and there's no more ants, they need to move on. The reason for that is quite simple, is that they catch ants to build up a lot of metabolic energy in terms of fat. And what they do then is they pupate, and they pupate in the sand, and they come out as something that looks remarkably close to a dragonfly, but flies around at night, called a lacewing. These very floppy insects that you find festooning grass in the wetter areas around here. Look absolutely fantastic. They go from this grotesque little tick-like thing with big pincers on the front to this flappy, flimsy, fairy-like creature that flies around. It's actually quite an amazing transformation, these antlions into lacewings. Now, behind me, while I was just here, I've just heard some birds fly into these trees here around us. And I'm just trying to see where they are. They sounded like they flew into the tree right here, but that's not the case. See this dry tree that we've got in front of us here? I actually thought it was a woodpecker, but it isn't. And of course, bush is dead quiet around us at the moment. Brian and I were just having a talk about how dry it actually is where we're standing at the moment. And you know, I keep on saying, remember what it was like last year in May. Remember what we looked like when we started this drought in October and went through December, and we had those couple of rain, or those rain sessions that came here late in the season, and we had that grass flush, and then the trees were in full bloom. And look what it looks like now. We're now getting into our dry season. From the 1st of July is when I like to say, sorry, 1st of, is it July? 1st of July or 1st of June winter? 1st of July, August, no, 1st of June, July, August is our winter months over here. And this is our dry season. Still not the driest time of the year. The driest time of the year comes in our spring, September, October, November. You're going to see what this place looks like in those times. I tell you, dust bowl. Don't know where these animals are going to get their food from. I don't know what's going to happen to them. I don't know how far they're going to have to move to get food. Oh. So, James Richardson, Bianca and Aaron have answered the question for all of us about those aardvark babies. They just have one baby at a time and they are altricial. So for all of you out there that are following that amazing segment that we did a couple of minutes ago, probably about half an hour, 45 minutes ago, that was inside where we had all those excavations. We had a question from James Richards who wanted to know how many babies aardvark have. And I thought that they had anywhere from 2 to about 4, maybe 6, and that they were born altricial. I was only 50% right. They are born altricial, which means that they are heavily dependent on their mom at birth, and they only have one, which is weird. Because when animals are heavily dependent on their mom, barring human beings, it generally means that they are born almost fully formed, in which case they are able to function quite soon after a birth as sort of mini versions of the adults. Very similar to how wildebeest calves or horses, for that matter of fact, if you're looking at a horse paddock close to where you stay, baby horses are just miniatures of the adults. Very soon after they're born, they are able to copy what the adults are doing. That's called precocial. Altricial is how we are born. We are born blind and helpless and really need a long time to grow up. What's rare in this aardvark's particular case is that they have one baby that's altricial. Generally speaking, it's either precocial and one baby or altricial and many babies. So that's quite bizarre. I would never have guessed that. So thank you very much for providing those answers. It's always nice to share answers with everyone watching. Now we are about a mile or so as the crow flies from quarantine. We're actually going to show you quarantine. Right there in the distance, on the horizon, those trees that you're looking at through the screen of trees, that big tree just off center to the right, that is the start of quarantine. And we're heading there to get out of the bush before the sun goes down. Now a very good way of checking how much sun is left is you take your hand and you put your baby finger on the horizon and you spread your fingers as much as what you can. And basically in midwinter I have timed the gaps between my fingers, so the distance the sun travels from there to there at about 13.5 minutes. If I take my hand and I put it like this, we have got roughly 7 or 8 minutes to sunset. So start the counters. Let's see how right I am. 7 or 8 minutes. From now I expect the sun to go down. And that gives me a nice sort of time on how quickly we can get across this valley and get our way home. But while we're waiting for that 6 or 7 minutes to go down, I'm going to send you over to James.
Well, that was a spectacular way to spend an afternoon, I feel. We're going back towards Buffelshoek Dam now to see if we can't pick up on some buffaloes that we saw coming down. There was a herd of buffalo coming. There were also some tracks of a male leopard coming in this direction, so maybe we'll see him. Not sure who that would have been. Well, there are 2 buffalo in the water. I don't think they're from a herd. I think they're part of the original 8 that we saw. Let's just breathe quietly here and absorb. I'm going to go a little bit further forward, sorry Davey, because we'll be able to see the sun setting. There we go. Beautiful. Doesn't that feel nice, everyone? Take a deep breath in, inhale the pleasant scent of the African evening, mixed with the gentle smell of buffalo dung and hippo dung, which of course, as we know, does not have any fish bones in it. That being the deal that the Lord and the hippo madest together. Now this of course will become doubly scenic if the predicted deluge ensues during the rainy season. This dam will become very full, and then, well, I mean, we may have whales here, it'll be so big, but if we don't have whales, we may well have more hippopotami. Now, Abshik, you are interested in hippopotami and how long they would be able to cope without water. Abshik, not very long is the answer. They can survive if they can get out of the sun, but they really do desiccate quite badly. In other words, they get very dry in the presence of the sun, and it becomes very difficult for them. And so they can survive. It's not a situation like it is with, say, a whale or a dolphin, which obviously becomes dead if it's not in the water for a long time. They are certainly not nearly as aquatic as whales or dolphins, but they do struggle when there isn't any water, and even this one will be struggling with his back exposed consistently to the sun. They overheat. They're not built to stand all the time, because you obviously use very little energy when you're just lolling about in the water. And so for them to be out of the water all the time is very difficult and very stressful for them. Alright, I don't think we should hang around here. I want to try and quickly get a look at the hyena den. We're not that far from it, so I think we're going to move along that way. I'll just give you a quick look at the sun as it is about to set. See, my face was looking very gold there. That is not my generally inherited complexion. That is, in fact, the golden African sun setting to the west. Marvellous, marvellous afternoon. I'll actually put my jacket on just in case we get a little bit chilly. And we're not going to watch the whole thing go down. We're going to move on and try and get to the hyena den. Hold on, everybody. Here we go. There was a herd of buffalo heading sort of towards this area, and they would normally come and have a drink around about this time of the day. And buffalo don't mind water as sort of scummy as that. That's not to insult the water at all, it's just what happens when it starts to dry up in this area. Elephants, however, you will find not many. Alright, we're going to drive quite quickly towards the hyena den. Let's go back to Steph and let him see, or let him show you, the sun going down.
Thank you very much, James. It's very gracious of you. It is 2.5 minutes into our 6-minute prediction between the sun going down. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you, but it's already started to touch the horizon through the bush there. I reckon we've got maybe 60 seconds or so. Now, what I will do is show you an elephant while we can. Have a quick look through the bush over there. Just see his foot. He's now disappeared, of course. That is exactly what they are prone to do. We've got an elephant. We're surrounded by elephant. Not surrounded. We've got them on one side, probably in a 25 or 30 degree arc around us. Through the gap there. We'll wait and see if another one comes out. Brian says he's got them for you through the trees there. Now the wind, luckily for us, is blowing. Oh, I don't know which way it's blowing. Actually, that's a very good question. I've thought it's been in my face the whole afternoon. Use this ash bag, yeah. And luckily for us, the wind is very slightly blowing downwind, and will be moving downslope. Will collect in this valley that's between us and the elephant, and will probably be pulled by other air down the valleys. That's what happens over here at night time. Air starts to cool down above us, and it will start to sink. And as it starts to sink, it starts to collect in these depressions, the coldest air, which will then move down, and it sort of pulls the air down with it, down slope. And we get winds, not when it's swirling and very gusty, but definitely on a quiet evening like this. Let's have a look here at the sun. It doesn't seem like it's moved at all. In actual fact, it seems like the earth has stood still while while we've been talking about that. Now, in actual fact, the sun has already set. It takes 8 minutes for the light from the sun to go from where it's made or produced to inside our eye, and then for our brains to talk that into a picture. So 8 light minutes is where we are from our closest star, and from 8 light minutes to 4.3 years is that what the closest star to us is. That's Alpha Centauri, our closest star. That's the closest neighbor that we have. 4.3 years versus 8 minutes. Isn't that amazing? Sun's going to go down now. We've got probably another 20 seconds or so of watching the sun, the last sun of the day. And it's quite amazing here. We're in our winter. It's not really a winter. I mean, I'm standing here in shorts and a t-shirt speaking to you at sunset. It's more like a dry season, but it does get cold. It's insane. The second the sun goes down, it seems like the temperature drops. It almost feels like it drops a degree a minute, versus exactly the opposite. When it comes up in the morning, it also feels like it gets infinitely colder as the sun rises. It's almost like your body expects it to be warm because the sun is up. You can see it setting there behind those trees. Gone. Now, it will be interesting to see how many minutes are we. In actual fact, we are exactly 5 minutes and 50 seconds from when I predicted the sun setting, when I used my finger technique like that. 5 minutes and 50 seconds ago, and I said 5 or 6 minutes. So we hit that one on the spot, predicting when the sun was going to go down. My finger technique. Brian did laugh at me, but didn't believe me, but it's been proven to all you doubters out there. Brian's just asked me while we wander through the bush over here, trying not to get squashed by those elephants, what are the chances of finding a porcupine? Brian, relatively good actually. You just got to go out at night time. There's a lot of porcupine here. We find their tracks all over the place. They are nocturnal though. I know the porcupines at my house come and visit between 7 and 8 o'clock at night, where the majority of the tracks I see laid down before midnight. And I know that because quite often there's a lot of insect tracks on top of their tracks at my house. So we get the porcupines visiting our house between 6 and 7, and I would imagine that they would be out this time of the year around about the same time. You do see them. It's not like you're going to see legion of them. You see them in pairs and singly here in the Sabi Sands, because they do get eaten by lion and leopard. We don't see groups of porcupine here. We only see single porcupine. We do find a lot of their tracks around, so they do definitely occur. Now we've got those ellies slowly coming to us, which means that I want to walk in that direction, and we're going to go through here. We're going to see if I can actually show you these elephants. We should be able to show them to you straight through this gap. There we go. Right there. Caroline, you just asked me what are the procedures if these animals decided to charge at us. What do we do? Caroline, obviously the best thing to do is never run away blindly. Generally with me, I tend to stand and shout as loud as I can, and then as soon as that animal stops, I will make distance and create distance. That's all that animal's really doing. When an animal charges you, they're just telling you to create distance for whatever reason. Sometimes though, you are way too close, and even moving can elicit a more aggressive response. So it's difficult to say that in every circumstance you do this or in every circumstance you do that. Generally, at quite a low threat, what you want to do is create distance. Secondly, at a medium to high threat, you want to stand your ground, shout at them, and then create distance. And thirdly, if you've got nowhere to go or if you're way too close, you stand right there, you don't go anywhere, and you let that animal create the distance. And that is the scariest ones to deal with, where you know you can't move. That elephant herd, not a sizable elephant herd, we're looking at probably, there's a beautiful cow coming through there, you can see, a cow or bull. You see that one, Brian? Walking with his head bouncing. Long, straight tusks. Quite nice. It's funny, you know, the last 4 nights, I've been making phone calls around this time of the evening, and there's been elephants on quarantine every single night at sunset for the last 4 nights. I wonder if it's not exactly the same herd. Can't be. I mean, interesting to know. Watch out here, Brian, this thing will bite you. Have a look at these thorns. They don't look like much, but let me tell you that can flay the skin of a man very quickly. This is the black monkey thorn and will rip you open. Let's cross over here and see if we can see those elephant from a little bit closer. I feel quite safe where I am at the moment, and that's because I've got a drainage line in front of me. I've got a drainage line in front of me right here, which provides me with a barrier of sorts. I'm standing right next to a termite mound, and we are far away from those elephant with the wind in our favor. That'll definitely change if those elephant had to all of a sudden come onto this bank with us. What we don't want is those elephant to cross this bank and to chase us. Don't even know we're there. So there has watchfully. Right, these elephants with me. Side anything else. These elephants have now changed their behavior, not because of us. They've probably just decided that they want to go in a different direction. And what we've now got to decide is, do we cross onto the open area before they get here? And I think that's exactly what we're going to do, because it's going to just get darker. So come with me, Brian. We're going to be picking up the pace a little bit. And the reason for that is I just want to stay in front of these elephant, and I don't want to get caught in this thick bush. Now let's jump onto this game path. Going to be a bit jarring as we go down here. Alright. And while we get through this thick bush, not try and run away from these elephants, but just to try and get in front of them, we're going to link to James, who's racing off to a sighting of some sort. How exciting!
Everybody, we are racing slightly. If you look behind us, which I don't want you to do, there's a massive cloud of dust. Just here, we've given up on the hyena den, simply because apparently at the Gallagher waterhole over here is a male leopard, rumoured to be Mvula. We're on our way there. We're about 1 minute from arriving there, maybe even 30 seconds, depending on how rally-like my driving is. But I don't want him to move, because I think he was spotted by someone in the camp. I don't think anyone's actually there with him. There's a disturbing whining sound coming out of the the right back tire. I think that's because something from that sighting has got stuck in it. It's going, oh, there's actually someone there. It's Ephraim. Eph, have you got visual there? Oh dear. Ephraim got here with an unbelievable speed. Eph, have you got visual there? I don't know if you can see him. I think he's gone into the bush there. It's very, very thick in there. Oh, it's just round about where we live, everyone. So he was sitting on this termite mound over here, and someone from the camp spotted him, called Ephraim, obviously on the phone, because I don't think they have a radio there. Eph, have you got visual? Sorry, I'm not copying you. Can you try again? So Ephraim can see him. But he is in some serious stuff here. You got him. You got him. Okay, shall I go forward, backwards? Oh, I see. Okay, I can see him now. Well, we can see his bottom, everybody. Mind looking over the top of me?
Yeah, I can again.
There we go, everyone. I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to them. So that everybody seems to be Mvula. although
I think you can wait for me because I'm waiting for Aubrey to
with his back turned,
leave your space.
well, it's difficult to tell, but I think that's what he is. You can see his mangled ears, bearing testament to a long life. Well, for a leopard, 13 years. And he's just flicking away the sounds. Now, we are right close to the Gallagher camp. I can't hear the final control. There we go, now I can. And while you look at Mvula, we'll just sit quietly and enjoy him here. He looks like he's looking at something, but he's there we go. But I'm just going to talk very quietly because we are with a whole lot of other people. Alright, let's quickly go across to Steph for his closing, and we'll stay right here with this beautiful leopard.
So as you can see, we are on the other side of these elephants now. They were marching right at us, and we stopped and looked a couple of times, and they were coming straight at us. We had to do a bit of a loop, a duck and a dive, but they've stopped in that thick vegetation behind me now and are feeding, just slowly feeding. So still completely unaware that we're even standing here. And it's given us the opportunity, at least for me, to say thank you for watching this afternoon, or the sunset safari with myself, Stefan Tabur, and Brian on camera, with Herbert looking after us, and has allowed us to join it with these ellies. Now we just got this youngster coming up to us. We're going to have to get behind some screens and make some space. We don't want to make his mom too angry. Now, we'll catch up with you again in the morning. We're going to go back to our little nest, our den site, and at least James is sitting with Mvula, and hopefully we'll wake up for you. So, bye-bye.
Yeah, I think by the Arathusa to pull out.
We're just gonna, oh, he's moving, he's up.
Oh, he started moving.
I think he's seen something, everyone. We're just gonna wait. I'm gonna go backwards. He does look like he's going into the drainage. I can't get that on reverse. We have done some serious work on the vehicle today. There, it was a nyala. It was a little nyala that's run away from him. And it's alarm calling, you can hear it. Thank God. Let's just see if he comes out. I don't see him. He was just in there, everyone. We could stick our nose in there, we will. Let's just wait for him. I'm just going to wait until they see him, everyone. We don't want to move around too much because we don't want to ruin any chances he might have of hunting. I'm just going to ask Orbs if you can see him. Confirm he's mobile, Orbs. Yeah, he's moving down that way. We'll just try and get a quick view through here, and then we might have to move the other side. Yeah, he's moving along the drainage line here. Now, you know, as much of 4x4ing as we've done today successfully, that is going to be a step too far. He's going along that way like that. I think he'll probably pop out on the power lines just below our camp. We are only maybe 150 meters from our camp. And we're going to go and try from the power lines. That's what Aubrey reckons we should do. Okay, copy. Do you think I must go to power lines, or do you want me to come in there? I'm just getting an update from him. I can't move backwards because Ephraim's trying to get out. Let's go. Oh dear. You know what? We have a fairly large problem, everybody. The power steering fluid is finished. There's a very nasty looking light on. That means that I've done something quite drastic. Oh well, I have no power steering now. Daar van my power line. Okay, we're going to go to the power lines, everybody. We're going to try and go to the power lines. I mean, yeah, we got a steering issue here. And I've lost the final control. I'm going to just drive this car into a drainage line and burn it. There we go, I've got you now, Kirsten. Alright, it's still turning. Just takes a bit more muscle, that's all. It's not really surprising. Hello Robin, a nice question about whether if quarantine manages to take over at Cheetah Plains, i.e. if he sort of takes the territory there, and I don't think that's, well, it might be imminent actually, because I don't know of any other male leopards in that area other than Tingana. You say, will he let Mvula stay there? It's not so much a question of tolerating another leopard. Remember, they won't spend any time together unless they try and steal a kill from each other. But Quarantine stole, at least Mvula stole a kill from Quarantine the other day. So Mvula is by no means down and out. It's not like he needs looking after by any stretch of the imagination. So, I mean, would he tolerate having his father around? Yeah, he probably would, as long as his father wasn't being territorial. But Quarantine's too young to be territorial at the moment. So they'll just kind of tolerate each other, I guess, for now. But they're not going to have a sort of comforting father-son relationship. And that's obviously because it's around about here we thought he might pop out. It's obviously because they're in competition. There's no benefit to them being sort of nice to each other, really. They are in competition for food and resources. Now, I'm hoping that we're going to be able to make this steering last for the duration of the drive. But I'm afraid it might be that we have to close down a little early. So I do apologize if that does actually happen. Now, we thought he was going to pop out over here, which means he might go towards Quarantine clearings. Let's ease our way down here. That's in front of us. You can see where we live. There we are. So there's a male leopard close by to home. He was coming through here. The drainage line that he was in is over here. I'm just gonna, yeah, I don't know. We'll just keep an eye out here. I don't think we're going to see him again, I'm afraid. At least we did get to see him. We've had an absolutely astounding afternoon. Now, this is not scenically the most beautiful place, of course, but let's just wait a second. See if he doesn't pop out here. I'm just going to update Aubrey. Aubrey, I'm at the power lines junction of the drainage. I've got nothing here. Yeah, you can see the stealthy leopard could easily just pop out either behind us or as soon as we turn our backs, and we'd never know. There are some warthogs that live in this burrow, and you can actually see some fresh tracks there. But Mvula, you do not see. Yes, I think it's probably someone we work with. There comes the bushwalk returning home. It is Pajamas Patterson waving at us. Brian. There we are. All in there. Free Safari Live t-shirts. That's very good. That's very patriotic of them. Okay, I'm afraid I think this we're going to have to give up on. But doesn't matter. Yeah, and Lynn, I think that's a good thought. You say maybe that's what the monkeys were alarming at a little bit earlier. I would agree with you. I think that's probably precisely what they were shouting at a little bit earlier. Now, observe me trying to turn this boat around now. Somebody's coming through here. I think is a little odd. Let's just have a listen, everyone. He might pop out. No, that's Ephraim there, hoping to see something. I'm just going to ask them if they've seen him. Listen. There's a Franklin calling in here. Let's just wait here. Orbs, no luck, but there's a Franklin calling, alarm calling just in front of my vehicle to the right hand side in the drainage. Just watch there, everybody. Just watch where I'm pointing there. He might pop out there. It's worth waiting, I think. Yeah, can you hear that? Yeah, right. So I think it's a very interesting point you make. You said it's interesting that Mvula is in his territory, in his old territory. And, sorry, there's a radio's going crazy. And you say you guess he knows that Tingana is a long way south. I don't know if he knows that, but he certainly knows that the territory is quite empty at the moment. There's obviously no... You can hear birds calling there. There's obviously no territorial marking going on from the dominant male leopard of the area, so he'll feel safe here. What will be interesting, Raisa, though, is if he starts to mark territory again, if he starts to call at night, and he might. He looks in pretty good nick to me, but he's obviously taken a pasting, and that's why he's kind of gone unterritorial. The Drongo's calling in there, very cross. Yeah, I think we should leave him, everyone. I think if he pops out onto quarantine clearings, we might be lucky. Otherwise, let's go and see what else we can see as the night starts to fall on this. Just also slightly worried that I might damage its car. And apparently all of you want free Safari Live t-shirts. Well, everybody, I can give you the applications process and you can apply for a job and then you can get a free Safari Live t-shirt. Fortunately, you'll have to work with me, which will be very difficult, of course, because I'm not a nice man. Not so, David. Was your free t-shirt worth working with me? David says he's not sure if it was worth it or not. No, he sheepishly said, of course it was. Kirsten, of course, said, indeed. In other words, not worth the t-shirt. I'll tell you what, set yourself up for a fall here. People won't catch you, they'll push you off the cliff. He's definitely in there. I can hear those birds alarming, but these guys will see him if he comes out. We did get a nice view of him. But this, oh, you know what? We're in a bit of trouble. This car is now overheating. I think we've got more than just a steering problem. Kirsten, I'm afraid we're going to have to call this. I'm going to have to take this straight to the workshop. Everybody, It's been a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. It's a high note to close on. I just noticed that the temperature is over the red. Terrifying. We're going to go home, try and fix the car for the morning, otherwise it might just be me on foot in the morning. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, Kirsten, and the Cheetah in the final control. And a big thank you, of course, to Stefan and Herbert and Brian on the walk. We'll see you tomorrow at 06:30, either in a vehicle or not. Bye-bye.